violence, combat, competition. It's in our blood. It's in our nature to test our skills and seek out victory by any means necessary. You are about to witness a competition like no other. 36 amateur fighters in 3 weight classes will do battle in a grueling league, fighting for points and a chance to be crowned champion. With so many variables, few things are certain. One will rise, many will fall, and no one's getting paid. For the middleweight division, fear of the unknown disappears tonight. These 12 fighters now know firsthand what it means to fight to win. Competition, it's in our blood. And tonight, that blood will be spilled as these warriors fight to survive among the global MEGAfist 12.
The Nugent Center is going berserk for the middleweights tonight. The global MEGAfist 12 tournament surges forward. It is now the second fight for those at 185 pounds. We are live in Branson, Missouri, here at the Nugent Center. My name is Derek Osceola. I'm joined by Lucille Crammelcourt. We have got a huge night of fights at 185 tonight. That is true. We saw a lot of interesting results coming through after the first show. We saw a bunch of first round finishes. All 3 fights from Group A were finished in the first round. To see if that was beginner's luck or if that actually was some skill from these fighters.
Absolutely, those Group A fighters looked very impressive, but we have to remember, as impressive as they look, they were fighting complete amateurs who have no combat sports experience. So it's kind of hard to judge just how good they are on that one performance.
Well, no doubt about that. It's going to be very interesting to see. We're going to go ahead and run down the entire show for you at this point. Go through the group stages and tell you what is going to happen. Here, of course, are the rules. Again, it's amateur MMA, so the rounds are 2.5 minutes long, not your typical 5-minute round as you expect, but there is most certainly a lot of action. Should we go to the judges, it has happened before. It's a bit rare, but it does happen. We have a whole series of rules to determine what gives the decision to the victor, and that monologue might be a big factor into it. Our main event, going right into it, the man who breaks our green screen, the tumor of justice, taking on assailant number 3, Gordon Wu, our very own superhero, taking on the movie henchman. It's almost like a scene out of a movie, as both these fighters came up with big finishes in the first round 3 weeks ago.
Both men absolutely impressive. Both men, known for on either side of the criminal hero dynamic. This is going to be an interesting matchup.
Certainly will. That will be our main event, our final fight. Let's stay in Group A. Again, we talked about Group A having a lot of first round finishes. That's why all 3 winners have 6 big points. Ken Dahl, huge knockout in the dying seconds of the first round 3 weeks ago, takes on Dale Branston, the Pickle King, and he is going to be looking to get back in a big way. Don't want to go 0-2, but it looks like we're going to have at least 1, maybe 2 fighters doing that tonight.
Yeah, if Branson drops this one, it's going to be a tough road to climb back out of the bottom of the rankings. But he'd have I believe it's 3 more opportunities to do so, but it's still kind of a must-win situation after that if he does drop this one.
That it is. And again, when only the top 2 make it, you have to impress from the very start. Wilhelm Schrei, Donnie Bay, both of them fell in the first fight. One of them's got to win. Well, I guess they both could draw, but one of them is going to be, there's going to be a jeopardy of being 0-2 for one of these 2 fighters. I think the way they're going to be scrapping, neither of them are going to be happy with a draw. I think they're going to be going for a big finish.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of hunger out of these 2 gentlemen. A lot of intensity. They might not have had the best performances in their first bouts, but I think this is going to really prove who wants it between these 2 0-1 fighters.
And of course, we head over to Group B, our big fight, the 2 1-0 fighters. Jerome Glorioso, the reluctant president of a series of islands, taking on Grover Fuppenberg, who had a big TKO second-round win in the first fight against Slovan Medovic. Glorioso went to a decision, our first fighter to go to a decision, but both show they could hang. Let's see what happens when they do battle with one another.
Absolutely. Glorioso, he showed off he's got the cardio and durability to last all 3 rounds, but in a competition like this, that's a key attribute you don't really want to show off too much. You want to go in, get the job done, and finish quickly. And
no doubt about
Glorioso needs to rack up some points.
Yes, he does. That actually puts him only in I think that puts him only in 3rd place, even though he got a win. Again, the 3 points for the decision, not for finishing the fight. One man who did finish in the 3rd round is Paranorman, our host, the main event winner of episode 2. He's got Slovan Medovic, who ran into a very difficult opponent in Fuppenberg.
Yeah, Paranorman was that was a really good fight. He had in his first bout, Medovic had not so great a performance, but he battled for as long as he did, and it's going to be interesting to see how much he can turn around this coming bout.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see that we didn't have while one group had a lot of quick finishes, this was the one where they were all going through battles. As we see, Leon Pagliacci and Chet Lama, both of these competitors, again, fell in their first fights. Lama by decision, Pagliacci in the 3rd round to Paranorman. I think we've seen they both tested their mettle. This is where you need to start getting results, and it's only going to be the case for one of them.
Absolutely. Pagliacci doesn't want to be an even sadder clown and drop another fight in a row. And Lama might be prone to contemplating things alone on a mountaintop, but he doesn't want the contemplation of being down 0-2. So these guys, again, are going to have to really show their all tonight.
No doubt about that. That is our card rundown for the evening. Coming up, we're getting things started. It's going to be do or die for 2 fighters at 0-1. Wilhelm Schrei and Donnie Bay are about to do battle. Quite the heat wave across the country. Donnie Bay, even though summer may be coming to a close very soon, he is only getting started and looking to put his first loss out to sea. Win would be music to his ears. Wilhelm Schrei, composer, well, he hasn't really composed much of anything either in his daily musical life lately or in the Global MEGAfist 12. Definitely needs to find a concerto of a win, if that makes any sense. I don't know if it does.
If you look at the tail of the tape, Shry's got the height and the reach, but, Bay, I mean, he leads a much more active lifestyle as a lifeguard. I don't know. I think if I were to place any bets on this one, I'd probably say Bay just might be able to outmuscle Schrei with that somewhat stockier build.
And of course, we know that the gambling scene of amateur MMA, especially here in the state of Missouri, especially here tonight at the Nugent Center, is running rampant just because of the level of depravity you have to reach to be gambling on amateur mixed martial arts. But that does not stop our crowd. It does not stop these two fighters. Bay in the red, Schrei in the navy blue, and they exchange a little bit. Good sprawl by Schrei, avoiding the takedown. They're going toe-to-toe right off the bat. A couple exchanges of punches. Nice uppercut, backs off Bay, but Schrei's already on the back foot.
Yeah, he's not really looking to go first in a lot of these exchanges. He's looking for this takedown. He gets it. He wants to completely control the situation, and there's not much else that can offer control like a solid ground game.
No doubt about that, although he gets the reversal, and I think Donnie Bay, perhaps this might be some of his CPR training coming to life, but he goes into an armbar. Again, this could be a good opportunity to find something. I mean, again, it's early in the fight. It's easy to get a grip. Now he's talking about it, and he's got it!
He's got it.
Well, a first round submission for the lifeguard.
That is surprising. I would have thought Bay would be too slippery and drenched with water from the get-go to even get that armbar, but he proved me wrong.
He was too slippery to even climb the cage. He kind of just slides right off of it, but he gets the leverage. He pulls at the arm, and Schrei just not quite knowing how to, that's his conducting arm, so he definitely didn't want to stay in that hold any longer. And again, just getting the back of that knee, I'm sure it just smells after having run up and down the beach all night and all day. Donnie Bay, your winner, gets 6 big points. And he is suddenly right back in it. That's the kind of result we were talking about that can just completely get you going after a first fight loss.
Absolutely. Bay is rocketing up the rankings, and Schrei on the other hand is struggling to get any kind of a handle on this situation.
Schrei down to 0, still down at 0 points, 0-2. And we're seeing a couple of 0-1 fighters doing battle in our next one as we head over to Group B with Pagliacci and Lama. That is the fight coming up now. Well, for being such a mild-mannered, even-keeled guru, Chet Lama is really amped up. I guess when you have to answer the same handful of questions from Alabama regulars who climb the mountain, that's what you get. They may say there's no crying in mixed martial arts, but apparently there's crying and clownery I don't understand what makes it great, but I definitely see the makeup running, the tears. Leon Pagliacci, he doesn't look anything but happy right now and pumped and ready to fight. Perhaps he channels that sadness. Go to the tail of the tape. Height and reach goes to Lama just barely. And of course, if you go with the high card game, then that goes to Leon Pagliacci. That ace definitely beats that 4 of clubs.
Absolutely. I guess I would have expected Pagliacci to pick some sort of set of clubs he could juggle, but I guess that might not be traditional clownery.
Oh, fair enough. I think,
Let's go, guys. Fight.
Again, sometimes I imagine if, I assume if you are able to do some sort of clown type act, maybe you'd have a little bit of sleight of hand. Perhaps he could have selected a better card out of the deck. But
He pulled that takedown basically out of his back pocket just there.
certainly didn't have to palm anything on that one. 20 seconds in, and he's already got the advantage on Lama.
Lama, of course, staying absolutely calm and collected. He's almost unflappable.
He really is. We're so surprised at how amped up he gets when he comes out here. And he seems a bit calm in trying to defend this arm triangle. It is trying to cut off the circulation, but he seems all right.
I say a lot of times, if it's in deep, you'll see a common defense is called answering the phone. It's providing a little space for your arteries to get that blood circulation. But I don't think Lama knows about phone, so that defense might be completely foreign to him.
Just the to be clear, not just the defense called answering the phone, but the concept of a telephone in general.
Yeah, he's certainly not calling into any kind of Paul Feinbaum shows up on his Alabama hill.
No, I think he's a bit confused by the fact that so many of the questions, those who can't get through to his show, tend to go and see him on the mountain and ask him about Alabama football, when the real answer is just, they're probably going to do really well. It's a Nick Saban coach team. What do you expect?
This guillotine's looking tight, but again, that calm, collected demeanor of Chet Lama, he's not panicking, he's not flailing, and, getting himself sucked in deeper into it.
Yeah, he just got sidestepped on a takedown and didn't even seem too bothered. Usually you see that happen and someone just kind of scrambles. Pagliacci going for it again, and Lama is trying to just wriggle that arm free. He's very calm in this, but it might not look that good. It looks pretty deep, and Pagliacci is really trying to go for it.
Yeah, but that could easily gas out your arms just going for submission after submission, and Pagliacci could easily end up in a position where his arms are just too tired to punch, to look for takedowns, to do any kind of defense. Triangle thrown up by Lama as the closing seconds of this round.
Might be a little late here, but again, this shows just how quickly these rounds go by at the amateur level. 2.5 minutes. It feels like nothing. If you're going to get a submission, you've got to find a way to lock it in and close the deal quickly. And Lama just getting, again, not used to getting advice from others, used to giving it out. He seems a little okay. He seems rather receptive to these cornermen.
I think it's that old adage that he knows that he knows nothing, so he's looking for advice from others.
That's some very deep stuff. Let's hope it can result in some victories for Lama. Again, he lost to Jerome Glorioso by decision. Went the distance with him, a respectable showing, but ultimately still got 0 points for his efforts. Pagliacci easily has won the round, if I say so. And again, the clown, the sad clown, looking to find something to get a little bit excitement about. They're battling for 5 points now. Should a finish come in this round. And after this, we'll have a quick break to explain to you how the tournament does shake down the format of Global MEGAfist 12. It's a unique tournament style, a round-robin group stage, followed by a playoff, something never seen in mixed martial arts before, especially at the amateur level.
Absolutely. It's the brainchild of our glorious Mr. Naga, and we thank him daily for providing the Global MEGAfist to us.
Yes, of course, we come here to Branson, Missouri, and see Global MEGAfist 12 live, one, you're going to get a great show out of it. Two, you of course will be able to praise en masse with the entire crowd. Praise Most Glorious and Honorable Mr. Naga, which of course happens right before we go on the air. The loud praise and thanking of Most Glorious and Honorable Mr. Naga, who brings to us Global MEGAfist 12. We're already a minute into round 2, and it's been more of a ground game again, as again Pagliacci going for an armbar.
Absolutely. I was about to say, if any of the people watching at home can get out to the Nugget Center for a Global MEGAfist event, get here early, because just seeing people pound on taiko drums for a good 30 minutes. And there's the tap.
Wow. Again, a big 5-point win for Leon Pagliacci. No clowning around. He, in fact, made Lama tap. He's got a lot of damage over that eye. I didn't even see what caused that. But again, Chet Lama gonna have to do some soul searching and look maybe back to the top of that. Well, it's more just a hill, perhaps a knoll. Not really a mountain in Alabama, but he's gonna have to go do some searching and maybe some quiet retreat and reflection.
Yeah, a couple of bags of Golden Flake potato chips, and some deep contemplation about what's next for him in this middleweight tournament or round robin event.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No, the whole thing is a tournament. Again, he's down to 0-2, 0 points. Leon Pagliacci up to 5, and he's at 1-1. And that is a much-needed win in a dire situation for Pagliacci.
Yeah.
We're going to keep things going in just a moment. Sorry, you were about to say this.
I was just going to say, I hope that eye heals up good for the next bout for Pagliacci.
It's only 3 weeks away. The fights come quick and without a lot of time to break in between. But, so again, coming back from concussions or knockouts or even just cuts, you may wonder, is that the proper time for it to heal? Is that safe? Has a doctor looked at it? And my answer to that is, why are you asking so many questions? Nonetheless, our next fight, yes.
I was just say it's shameful the kind of scrutiny these so-called fans like to put on a completely amateur MMA event, and just enjoy it for the
bravery of these athletes.
Absolutely.
Amateur athletes doing it for the love of this sport and not at all for any money. Our next fight coming up, Ken Dahl scored a vicious knockout in the first round. He takes on Dale Branston, who suffered a knockout himself to Gordon Wu. That is what's coming up next. We're going to take a quick break in the action and explain to you all, if you're new to the Global MEGAfist 12, here is how the tournament format, which is unique to anything else in mixed martial arts, here's how that tournament format works.
The Global MEGAfist 12 is a grueling competition like nothing ever seen before in mixed martial arts. First, the 12 fighters are drawn at random into 2 groups of 6 fighters each. Each fighter will face off against the other 5 in their group. A win is worth 3 points, while a draw is worth 1. In addition, bonus points are awarded for how fast a fight is won. Winning in the 3rd round is worth 4 total points, a 2nd round win is worth 5, and finishing a fight in the 1st round gets you 6 points in all. After all 5 rounds of competition, the 2 fighters who finish in last place are relegated from Global MEGAfist 12 and must earn their way back in next season. They will be replaced by 2 fighters from the Hyperfist qualifying tournament. The 2 5th-place fighters will be matched up against 2 more fighters from the Hyperfist qualifiers, with the winners earning their spot in next season's Global MEGAfist 12. The top 2 fighters from each group advance to the semifinals, where the 1st-place fighter from each group will take on the 2nd-place fighter from the other. The winners of these fights will do battle for the championship. It all comes down to one thing: win, and win fast. and the title of Global MEGAfist 12 champion awaits.
Doesn't seem to be too bothered by the fact that he was knocked out 3 weeks ago. Dale Branston, the Pickle King of Vermont. He'll pickle anything, and he'll be looking to pickle a victory tonight. You know, I think one of the more surprising names to come out with a big victory in the first series of fights here in all of Global MEGAfist 12 is Ken Dahl. Not sure what to make of this guy. He's gotten cosmetic surgery to make himself look like an actual Ken doll so he can pick up one of those women that does get the surgery to look like a Barbie doll. You know, there's so many levels to this that I don't quite understand.
You know, sometimes just being a completely weird and slightly psychotic individual is enough for MMA. I mean, it reminds me a lot of a good friend of mine, old school guy. I love the old school guys. Johnny, the conductor of the Pain Train, all aboard Choo Choo Wilson. He was off his rocker and just a tremendous fighter. And maybe Dahl's that kind of guy.
Was that his entire nickname?
Yeah, the conductor of the Pain Train, all aboard Choo Choo.
It sounds like a very call and response thing. I feel like the audience would probably join in when he was announced.
He would use a train whistle when he was being announced for that Choo Choo at the end.
So he brought out an actual train whistle as well?
Yeah, one of those little wooden ones.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Must have been even tougher with a gum shield in the mouth.
Yeah.
Kick to the face by Branston. They are going right at it. They are trying to put the finish in early, and neither of them
is desperate for some points.
Dahl wants to keep that momentum. Got the win over Wilhelm Schrei, who again we saw lose again in the first round earlier tonight to Donnie Bay. I guess the color that can only be considered brining liquid green, pickle green, sickly green. We've heard a couple different options for it when it comes to Dale Branston's shorts. Will heavily mention that he will pickle anything. I think were there to be any sort of genitalia, that knee would have been a little low, but Ken Dahl just sort of shrugs it off.
Yeah, he's I don't think he's wearing much in the way of any kind of protective cup. There's just a well, I don't want to suppose what might be under those nude-colored small shorts. So let's move the talk to these.
Oh, big knee to the face.
Knees.
Well, Dahl was ducking on that overhand, and he made the mistake of not covering up, and Dale Branston threw a knee but could not capitalize. And Dahl seems to be, I imagine there's got to be some blood. Another knee right to the midsection.
Yeah. He's looking to pickle that liver, it looks like, with those knees to the body.
That's a very good way to shut down a couple of organs, is with a vicious knee. And Dahl is going to be, there's just so much power behind it. It's just a stocky build. Again, both 185 pounds, but Branston.
It looks like Dahl's abs are sort of a plastic-like protective shell against his organs. I don't know.
It didn't seem to bother him too much. It was only the shot to the face that really seemed to affect him. So I wonder if there's some sort of prosthesis. Branston has come to play, and I think he's easily taken round one over Dahl.
Very dominant.
Not without his own set of damage. I think the two of them, the damage to the face of Branston, his eye almost swollen shut, the nose bleeding. And Dahl, let's see what we're seeing in the face. Yeah, there's a cut underneath the left eye.
Big, tremendous cut into that eye. Ooh.
That is the kind you'd have to return that doll to the store for a defect. And I think that's got to be the shot that did it. That looks like one of the biggest shots of the fight, I think. Maybe it was the knee, but... Oh, the knee right to the jaw or the nose. I'm surprised it didn't just smash the nose. Looks like it might have just gotten lit.
Yeah, I fully expected Dahl's nose to be spread in 3 different directions, but it's held together.
Again, we don't know the extent of what kind of modifications, plastic surgery he seems to have gone through. We can only suppose. I think those abs looking so unnatural that we'd have to assume there is some sort of plastic prosthesis underneath the skin. Again, somehow deemed legal. But again, who are we to doubt? Most glorious and honorable Mr. Naga. May he be praised for 10,000 years.
I don't see why any fighter can't fight with whatever sort of body implants they choose to have done to themselves.
Right. I mean, I think that the argument being you have to live the rest of your life like that. So I mean, there is some negatives. And a big drop. Branston goes down midway through the second round with about 100 seconds to go.
Dahl is looking to win this round back, and if he can maintain dominant position on top, it's definitely gonna tie things up. If he can't get a finish, of course.
Yeah, again, he was mostly on the feet in his short-lived win, his one-round victory. In his prior fight, we're seeing he's got a bit of a ground game, but Branston is not just letting this happen. He's trying to work, he's trying to move. I think just some brute strength, some core strength from carrying all those pickle barrels around his farm.
Big shot, and of course, if Branston being on his back, that bloody nose, it's just going to keep running into the back of his throat and really disrupt his breathing. So, if it wasn't intended, Dahl is really, amplifying that damage he caused in the first round by keeping Branston on his back.
And again, just being covered in the blood of you and your opponent. You can see Branston's blood all over the shoulder of Dahl. I'm sure that eye, once that opens back up, will be doing that again. And Branston has a target. I think he might have just hit it.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks like that blood might be able to come off with some warm, soapy water, but these punches certainly aren't coming off that easily.
No, not at all. I think that's going to be the damage. It's going to be a lot more than just that. I don't think Neosporin and a Band-Aid is going to take care of that. The cut man in the corner of Dahl as he goes for a Kimura. I think if nothing else, just to kind of hold out the round and take less damage. That cut is looking just as bad. And both corners are going to have a lot of work on these two as we head to a third round for the second time.
Branston may have stolen that round with that big flurry at the end, but it's going to be tough because Dahl had some good position on top, but that damage to Dahl's eye is just gruesome.
No doubt about that. There was the knockdown. There was the first knockdown. Dahl scored that early in the fight. He just clocked Branston very, very cleanly. Tried to put the finish down, but Branston coming back. He's really showing that he can cut the mustard seed in this octagon-like structure. And the Pickle King of Vermont will go to the third round.
You ready?
To take on Ken Dahl. This is the kind of fight that will. The effects of this fight, I mean, not just the cosmetic damage, but the exhaustion, the toll this takes on your body. This is going to carry these two through for the remainder of this tournament. I mean, the next fight is only 3 weeks away, and then a little bit longer between the third and fourth fight. But again, they come by so quickly, and especially when you're not used to training, you're just always in training mode, or you're just not worrying about it too much.
Yeah, this damage is going to require a lot of bags of frozen peas and a couple of bottles of super glue to close up some of these lacerations. There's just no time for Stitches to go in and fully heal before the next fight, and Branson is in trouble.
Dahl is just hammering away, and down goes Branston. This could very well be the end, but Branston is scrambling. He's got that sort of second and third wind.
His recovery is incredible. That is surprising that he has been dropped so many times and not been finished yet.
He is just not. It takes clearly a lot to put this guy away. I don't know where, when it comes down to who is winning this fight, I think Dahl is trying to win the round. If it goes to a decision, I don't really know. That monologue is going to be very interesting as it comes into play. Again, there's just so many other factors into this. But Branston, ever the salesman, will try to have to wriggle his way out, and he is just eating shots. Somehow, this fight continues on with 50 seconds to go.
My goodness, I can't believe Branston reversed that just now.
So much blood on the mat, too, from this fight alone. This is proving to be one of the most gruesome, one of the most grueling fights of the Global MEGAfist 12 so far. 5 episodes in. Another Group A battle. Branston coming in with 0 points. Dahl with 6. 4 points if they can finish in the next 20 seconds. 3 for the winner should it go to decision. There's a lot of blood everywhere. There is so much just being left on the mat physically and figuratively.
What an amazing fight. I mean, for amateurs, even for professionals, this would be a top-level fight that, you should probably have to pay a little more than we're charging people to see this here tonight.
And just a shame for that sort of effort. A reminder, neither of these two are getting paid. We did this all just for the exposure. And Dahl got a knockdown. I think we both agree that Dahl won the third round. Branston won the first. It's gonna be, I think it comes down to who won that second round and who's gonna get the 3 points.
It's gonna be the second round unless someone just has an outstanding monologue. I don't know what they're performing from. I mean, if I were to guess, I would assume Dahl's doing something from Clueless, and Branson maybe a Death of a Salesman, or maybe Glenn Ross, but who can tell with some of them?
We have a winner. It's going to be Dale Branston taking it by decision. A big, big win. 3 points to get on the board for Dale Branston. And that first win means so much, and he's not going to be able to see really.
Yeah. Typically, you put cucumber slices to deal with eye puffiness, but he's pickled them all, so he's in a little bit of trouble.
It's going to sting quite a bit. We'll see what he can do. But here we go. Coming up next, Paranorman, our host, one of the most enigmatic fighters, taking on Slovan Medovich. You can always look for the lava lamp being duct taped to the top of his car. That means that the siren is blaring, and Slovan Medovich, the freelance makeshift ambulance driver, is coming through. Again, fans of the ghost hunting show, Ghost Insertion, are familiar with this man who welcomes spirits into his body And a ritual possession of Paranorman, our host, tells me that he is not going to be afraid. He ain't afraid of no ghost. I don't think he's afraid of Slovan Medevich. Tonight, tail of the tape. The heightened reach goes to Medevich just barely. Points currently leading is Paranorman with 4 points after a third-round knockout of Pagliacci in the first round. Medevich lost to Fuppenberg in the second round by TKO. Both of these two can really make a charge up the tables with in Group A with a win.
Yeah, I just hope that Medevich isn't maybe a little distracted. He's got plans for taking Dahl and Branson to the hospital later tonight in his car after that gruesome fight they had.
Yeah,
he's got to get his mind on Paranorman.
I know I did see him kind of waiting in the wings as they were heading to the back. Of course, we do have medical staff and a hospital nearby to take these fighters. I don't think he understood that they didn't need a ride to it. We actually have the transportation to do it, but Slovan just sort of he's got his own way of doing it. He usually tends to hang out outside of bars where drunks tend to fall over. He's like the Uber of ambulances, but he charges just about as much as well, I think, if you weren't insured.
Well, everyone's got a side hustle in this economy, and for some of these guys, their side hustle is their only hustle.
Yep, and in that case, it is, in fact, being an ambulance driver rather than being an Uber driver. Again, we're seeing the takedown stuffed by Paranorman. Again, we don't know which sort of ghost or ghosts are possessing him at this moment. I imagine if he was recording a show earlier, he was he still has that ghost, and yeah, must maybe someone with a good ground game. A lot of upper body strength. Now that's the interesting thing. He does have a corner, but I understand the corner isn't really who's shouting instructions. He just listens to the instructions inside from the spirits. And well, so far they've done well for him. I think they're giving him a good shot at this round.
Absolutely, he's done probably the more damaging work. From standing from the ground, he's defended takedowns. It's looking like a Paranorman round so far.
That it is, and again, as you're familiar with the show, ghost insertion. He's not afraid to get inside of a comfort zone or let a comfort zone of ghosts get inside of him. So, up close and personal with that ground game it seems just fine for Paranorman, who again is channeling. He's looking to see. I think I understand some chanting in tongues, as he is in fact possessed by a spirit. And you saw some of the ground and pound. He was trying to go for the finish early in this fight.
Back, you fight that 2-on-1. If he gets that body lock, you gotta fight it off.
Goes to the second round. Lucille, what does Medevich have to do if he wants to, aside from not being distracted by earning a couple of bucks, driving someone to the hospital? I mean, how do you? Oh my God! Big head kick.
Well, he's got to keep his hands up. That's the first key, is not get kicked in the head as the round begins. But I was gonna say, if he's looking to get the fight to the ground with him on top, he's got to really commit to those takedown attempts. He let himself get shrugged off easily, but Norman's ground and pound is devastating.
Really is getting scary to the point. Those are some possessed fists. And we are seeing, well, Medevich has the top position. Let's see what he can do with it.
Good reversal for Medevich. Let's see what he can do from top position, which is what it looked like he wanted earlier in this fight.
Interesting to see after being rocked. Perhaps that shot to that kick to the head maybe woke him up a bit, sort of got him into into the mode. You know, they say some fighters on the professional level, they need to take a couple of punches to realize they've been in a fight. I mean, maybe some people are just slow on the take when it comes to the amateur level.
Yeah, I've heard sometimes Medovic, if it looks like one of his ambulance riders is going into shock, he gives him a little bit of a slap, so maybe somewhat of a similar situation.
Just needed to slap himself to remind himself that he was in a fight. Well, he doesn't need to be slapped. He's getting enough punches to remind him of that. He's not going to be able to forget it as Paranorman is just teeing off with a minute to go in the second round. This is going to be a real tough thing to survive.
Each punch reminds him he's in a fight, and then the next one makes him forget he's in a fight. So it's a terrible cycle that is going to repeat itself until the fight ends.
Really big issue. Again, you gotta hope that it's an even number so that no amnesia sort of takes effect, or else Medovic won't know which hospitals to drive himself or anyone else to. He might be getting in his old, I guess it's a Honda Civic, and driving himself to the hospital tonight. Now the punishment is taken. I can't imagine this is going to go much longer. The referee might have to end this one just for the mercy.
Get himself a little bit of a...
Got to a standing position again.
Yeah.
Oh, but eats an uppercut and just walks right into it.
Oh my God.
Paranorman.
That was devastating.
It was beautifully set up. He got Medovic to chase him down through the uppercut. And the freelambulance, Uberlambulance. Well, they all sound like normal words to Medovic now, because he is absolutely loopy.
I was going to say, it looked like Medovic was starting to sit up, showing no real ill effects right after that knockout, but as we see on these replays, he is almost as stiff as a gurney now that I guess the adrenaline has completely worn off, and he's in a bad way.
Paranorman, our host, moves up to 9 points with a second victory. First to go to 2-0 of our fighters tonight. And he doesn't need a Ouija board to tell him what was going to happen. He's very confident at this point. Coming up next, we got 2 more fights, and they're big ones. They have top of the table implications. Our next fight stays in Group B as President Jerome Glorioso takes on Grover Fuppenberg, with a good chance that the winner could move to first place in this group, in Group B. Both fighters look dangerous. Both fighters look like they have a shot at it. Interesting to see who takes it. Let's take a quick break from the action and tell you about what is coming up next week. We move over back to the lightweights. You may remember them for a couple weeks ago, the lightweights at 155. There is the second group stage games, fights for them. Eddie Andromeda versus Charlie Valentine. JC Switcher versus Miroslav Florislava should be going. Rob Lynn versus Trevor Sereno has the potential to be a violent affair.
Yeah, these fights are going to be incredible. You know, like I said, the lightweights, they got a lot of speed, and they showed in their first fights, they still have that power even at 155. Just a lot of good matchups, a lot of guys, you know, not wanting to go down 0-2. So we're going to see a lot of grit and determination in all these fighters.
Yeah, none of our lightweight fights went to a third round. We had a submission, and the other 5 fights went to knockout or TKO victories. So they have the power and they have the capability to do just that as we head to our final 2 fights of the evening. You only needed to have to count to 2 with what round he defeated his first opponent, Slobodan Medvedev, in via TKO. Grover Fuppenberg wants to go to 2, as in 2-0. Not willing to take up his presidency. Can't say I blame him. President Jerome Glorioso has absolutely embraced the fight game. Went to a decision with Chet Lama, but he looked impressive in that showing. Let's go to the tail on the table. Relatively even. 1-inch height advantage for Glorioso.
I think with everything being basically equal, it's really going to come down to heart. Glorioso, reluctant to lead his country, reluctant to get the finish. Last time out, Fuppenberg, he's willing to go out there and put it all on the line and take his opponent out. So I think Glorioso might need to be extra careful tonight.
It'll be very interesting to see how this shapes up. Again, Fuppenberg got a second-round TKO. Glorioso went the distance. Will they change up their strategy at this point?
Yeah, it's hard to say if they have much of a strategy, if they really know what they're doing, or if they're just trying whatever feels right, whatever works in the moment.
That'll be very interesting to see.
Big, heavy shots from Glorioso.
Big one, drops him early in the first round. Glorioso goes right to the mount. Fuppenberg able to reverse it before any sort of leverage.
Glorioso really letting his hands fly though, but he's really landing some big shots on Fuppenberg.
He really is. He is putting a boost to it. And that is a first round TKO victory. I think we were all just a bit surprised by that one, Lucille. It was...
Yeah, made me eat my words and look like a complete idiot with regards to my official analysis.
Well, I think, again, just shows how unpredictable these amateur fights can be. I think we saw a different side of Glorioso. I wouldn't say anything about the level of his opponent in Fuppenberg, but
I think Glorioso was a little disappointed in his own performance last time out and wanted to show what he really had.
Yeah, it was again a good opponent. I think just came out ready to go before Fuppenberg could react. What a victory! Jerome Glorioso moves to 9 points and is now tied at the top of the table. We'll go back to that in just a bit, but it is main event time. The Tumor of Justice taking on Gordon Wu. This one is going to be explosive. Gordon Wu after a knockout victory over Dale Branston is looking to just make a bigger impact tonight. sign that you really can do anything if you put your mind to it. And that includes putting your mind to radiation waves, getting horribly diseased, and still becoming a superhero. Enter the Tumor of Justice. Lucille, the Tumor of Justice hasn't shown any ill effects. In fact, got a submission victory in episode 2 over Donnie Bay.
Yeah, I was surprised that he had any kind of cardio and stamina to really move around. If my research is correct, and that he's just riddled with cancer. So,
Are you ready?
a lot of respect to the Tumor of Justice for just coming out here.
Let's fight.
You have to wonder where it has and has not metastasized today. I imagine it moves around. I imagine there's not any sort of just certainty to all of it. That being said, the Tumor of Justice showing that don't let anything like that stop you. And here we go. We're seeing again Wu bring him to the ground. And I guess it doesn't really take the Tumor of Justice that much to get him motivated. He's fighting a man who plays a henchman. That's pretty easy. It's a pretty easy selling point.
Yeah, that was it didn't really amount to much, but that was a nice 10th Planet style mission control sweep to a back tape by the Tumor of Justice a little earlier. Maybe there's some sort of tumor that in his brain that's granting him jiu-jitsu knowledge. That'd be something to look into.
I mean, it's very possible. You know, you hear stories about people becoming savants because of unnatural anomalies. Perhaps the Tumor of Justice, as he is attempting an arm triangle, is looking to submit Gordon Wu, going for a second submission in as many fights.
Yeah, it's this is a very grappling heavy bout. It's really interesting, the little nuances that these guys don't know about, but they're still somehow managing to accomplish, even without, as far as I'm aware, a single grappling lesson.
Yeah, to my knowledge, we don't provide anything here at Global MEGAfist 12. If they are looking to seek their own training out, then I suppose that's on them. But I do know that we didn't attempt to really bring anyone in who seemed to be that motivated. If we wanted to put together a proper amateur MMA, there are plenty of gyms that we could reach out to. We wanted to bring in the rawest of the raw. You wanted to see what real fights are like. This is what real fights are like between a man who plays an assailant on a movie set versus a guy who has exposed himself to so much radiation. He is basically trying to be a superhero. If that's not the realest type of fight, I don't know what is.
Yeah, any man with 2 hands and a lot of chemotherapy can go out there and fight, and these guys are just proving that.
No doubt about that. I think the Tumor of Justice gets that first round. Very comprehensive round for him. Gordon Wu again has to get past the habit of potentially losing and falling in fights as he does on movie sets. He's kind of like that sub-boss that the main character faces before getting to an actual notorious character. Plus, one thing I feel we don't really acknowledge enough is just the effects, the external effects of all that radiation exposure on the Tumor of Justice. Just being near that for any opponent might be a little jarring, might actually have effects that we don't know about, or at the very least, it's a mind game. Am I going to get cancer by being near him? Is this the rare airborne version of cancer that I've only heard about on the internet?
Yeah, well, I'm sure Wu, has probably been a henchman in a movie where the lead mad scientist is working on an airborne form of cancer, so he might be more equipped to deal with that than most of the other fighters in this bracket.
He does, in fact, read ahead in the script. He tends to pull that sort of advantage or privilege.
Speaking of pulling, the Tumor is looking for a Kimura from guard here, but doesn't look like he's got it isolated. And yep, it's nothing doing on that
A
one.
noble attempt, and again, that is one of the other difficult bits. If you are fighting the Tumor of Justice, you know, one of the easy strategies is to go to aim for the cancer, to punch him in the cancer. But the thing is, if you don't know where it is, I don't know if that's. I mean, it seems like everywhere is the option. It only seems to have strengthened him.
Yeah, and also sometimes, you know, that cancer might have, collected some other particulate matter and just become a hardened mass, and that's just going to potentially break your hand and remove one of your weapons in a fight. So,
Very possible.
It's a risky situation either way.
That's why a lot of fighters may not know how to approach this. We're seeing Gordon Wu on the back foot. I think he definitely doesn't know how to approach this whole Tumor of Justice thing.
I think Wu is used to, being waiting patiently for his other henchmen to fall and stepping in to take their place. But there's no other henchman. It's just him. He's got to initiate, and he's also used to throwing a lot of big, looping, kind of flashy stuff that's easy to counter, and that's not going to help him in a fight.
Yeah, I know a lot of the time we see some of the other members on the movie set of his stunt team will do a large flashy maneuver and then promptly get knocked out. But of course, that is a scripted maneuver. He's got to remember to just throw the script away. We head to a third round in our main event. And a little bit better from Wu, but I think it still goes to the Tumor. What would you think?
I'd have to agree. I think Wu's definitely got to put it all on the line in this third and final round if he wants to stay at the top of the rankings. But the Tumor looks like he's got a bit of a nasty cut under his eye. The integrity of his skin might be weakened from that cancer. He might cut and bruise easily now. I'm not 100% sure.
No doubt about that. We're seeing what can potentially happen. I mean, again, when the Tumor of Justice is cut open, we don't even know what is going to what can potentially happen. And there is a cut under the eye. He's going to the third round. Again, his first fight against Donnie Bay only went just over 2 minutes, just under. It was finished within the last 20 seconds of the first round. It was a submission victory. But again, with so much blood on the canvas today, here in that octagon-like structure, we head to a third round. And both fighters look pretty fresh. They're coming out with a good amount of energy.
Yeah, I don't know what's coming out of that cut on the Tumor's face. I'm pretty sure it's got to be handled by a hazmat team, and that's got to be biomedical waste.
No doubt about that. I'm sure we'd have to scrub the mat of our octagon-like structure clean, just get out the bleach, perhaps just set fire to it at the end of the night. But we'll have to see how our budget is and what, of course, Most Glorious and Honorable Mr. Naga says. Going for an armbar. This is how he beat Donnie Bay in episode 2. Can he do the same for assailant number 3? He can!
Outstanding.
The superhuman radiation-based strength of the Tumor of Justice as he yanks back on that arm and forces the tap out from Gordon Wu before the arm breaks. What a victory for 4 big points.
That was very impressive. Wu looked very good in his first fight, and the Tumor of Justice, was pretty much dominant the whole contest, and got that armbar. That armbar is obviously something he's somehow knows about, and these other fighters are going to have to be on the lookout for it.
Well, again, it might be a bit of some sort of a one-trick pony, but nonetheless, the Tumor of Justice does in fact get the win And perhaps that means that's one or two methods or techniques to actually start working on. What a win. Moves up to 10 points. I'm going to go ahead and recap the results from tonight. There it is, the Tumor of Justice with a third-round submission. Donnie Bay with a first-round submission for 6 big points. And Dale Branston gets his first win via decision, which means that in Group A, only the Tumor of Justice sits at 2-0. There is how the standings shape up. We'll see them again on September 11th with the Tumor of Justice taking on Wilhelm Schrei, Gordon Wu versus Ken Dahl, and Dale Branson versus Donnie Bay. I think after 2 fights, Group A in the middleweight division, wide open.
Yeah, Schrei's in a hole, and he's got a devastating fighter in the Tumor of Justice staring down at him. It's going to be a tough climb, but the rest of that group is wide open for anyone. I mean, Branston, got a decision win, but I mean, a quick finish can rocket him back to the top in very easy.
It's 2 fights between fighters that are all at 1-1, so it's really going to start seeing some separation as we hit the halfway point in this group stage. Over to Group B, well, Jerome Glorioso is actually a first-round TKO. I think we have Pagliacci and Glorioso's results mixed up there. Pagliacci with the second-round submission, Glorioso with the round 1 TKO, Paranorman with the TKO in round 2. Impressive results all around, and we see that's how it shapes up. Glorioso and Paranorman now both sit at 9 points. Buppenberg and Pagliacci at 5 apiece. Lama and Medovich are going to be at 0 apiece, and they're going to be fighting in the next set. One of them basically pretty good is going to be in a giant hole at 0-3.
Yeah, 0-3 is going to be, I would say, unless those last 2 fights are 6-pointers, it's going to be tough to come back from the loser of Lama versus Medovic. But I mean, crazier things have happened in the world of MMA. I mean, massive underdogs have, shocked the world, and maybe Chet Lama will, sort of awaken the killer inside of him and just go on a tear in these final couple of fights.
Well, we will in fact say that even if for a fighter at 0-3, even if the top 2 to move on to the semifinals is out of reach, you still want to keep your spot in the Global MEGAfist 12. You want to avoid that last place spot. Both Lama and Medovich, it's going to be really interesting. They're going to be fighting for everything. Glorioso and Pagliacci, Fuppenberg and Paranorman. Again, positioning fights. We could see 4 fighters at 2-1. We could see 2 fighters at 3-0 after that. And see as these competitors draw closer until that line gets drawn between 2 and 3 and puts 2 of them into the next round and sends a few marching back home. Lucille, it's been a great night of fights. Thank you again. Hope you had a great time watching this. If you at home, a great night of fights. Lucille, anything else to say before we sign off?
Just, keep watching MMA. Find 2 kids in your neighborhood and get them to fight. Amateur MMA is amazing, and we need more amateur fighters. So help push it along.
Yes, no doubt about it. Nothing can bring together 2 amateurs quite like repeatedly shouting, "Fight, fight, fight, fight" at them. No doubt about that. Again, thank you for joining us. This has, in fact, been the Global MEGAfist 12, Episode 5, with 2 fights down, 3 to go in the group stage of the middleweights. We head to the lightweights next time, 1 week from today. Again, join us right here on this channel, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, roughly around that time, depending on other programming notes. We'd like to thank the Again, I thank Lucille Cramplecorn for joining me on commentary once more. And again, of course, to everyone else who joined us, you at home for watching. Again, if you are a part of this, we thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. We praise Most Glorious Honorable Mr. Naga. My name is Derek Osceola, and we say good night and good fisting.